So let me do this. Since we have 2 trades open and we have one loser on the morning so far on 3M, go ahead and ask, what questions do you guys have? Are there any specific questions? This is a time where we can start answering a few things and making some magic happen. Phil says, how can you put the daily 200 on the 5-minute? A little bit of a code, specific type of code on TradingView. Yep, this is a Pine script code, my friend, that was built in. So there's the 200 right there. So this is not something that's just normal or natural on TradingView. You have to kind of code that in. Mason says, what broker are you using to place the order? Thinkorswim. I have a few different screens. In fact, let me do this. Turn my screens on. Let me see if you guys can see me. Type in a 1 if you can see me, like the visual face of me. And unfortunately, I apologize in advance. Yeah, so these are my other screens for the Mason, for the person who asked. So right here. So I have 4 screens going on. So these are screens over here, and these are the screens in front of me. So they're a little hard to see. But yep, I got everything going on over here. I don't have it all on the same computer because it can bog down really, really easily. So I have them on different computers and different systems. Is that fair, Mason? It's a great question, though. All right, so Lake, L-A-K-E. So Lake did just have a little bit of a pop. You might have gotten skipped on that. Right? There's a chance. If you got filled, that's very cool. Let me see if I got filled. I don't know if I did. Probably not. Positions. No. So I did not get filled yet on Lake. But I'm going to leave it open. I'm going to leave it open. If you did get filled at 1542 and someone might have, cool. EJ is in at 1545. All right. Angela says, how did you select the entry point? It's a very good question, Angela. So the entry point on Lakeland Industries, I'll go back in time and show you the very first thing that I noticed was this candle right here. So Angela, what type of candle is this right there? Anyone else wants to answer that question, you're more than welcome to. What type of candle is that right there? Yes, that is a hammer candle. Correct. So not only is it a hammer candle, but let's talk about a few other things that work really nicely with that hammer candle. Number 1, you have volume coming in. Number 2, you have a little bit of an upper shadow. I like the upper shadow a lot. That means a few people tried to sell the stock short. Number 3, I love the fact that it broke below the new low of day, because there's going to be a few people who are trying to short this stock below that low. They're trying to get in bearish below here. So as they're trying to get in bearish, they think the stock's going to roll over, and obviously it could have. Right? The stock could have easily gone lower, but it just simply didn't. And then with that candle, that wick, and that location and the volume, I waited one more candle to come in, Angela. So this was the next candle that came in right here, was a high wave candle. So these are actually my 2 favorite candles back to back. This is my, and again, ladies and gentlemen, take a screenshot of this. You're here for free. You might as well learn a little bit about what I look for when I'm day trading. This is a phenomenal, incredible, wonderfully delicious candlestick pattern. Excellent hammer with really good volume, with a wick that takes out the low of the day. And then you have a high wave candle with an upper and lower shadow that are pretty equivalent with very low volume. So all I did, Angela, was put an entry above the high of that high wave candle, and then I put my stop loss a little bit below the hammer, and that was it. Does that answer your question, my friend? And so that was the whole trade. It was just based on the candlesticks. I said, okay, you got a hammer, and then you got a high wave. Let's set it up. And we have this right here. So what it's trying to do is it's trying to come back down to fill us at 1542. Susan says, what chart time frame is this? The chart time frame, Susan, is right here in the top left-hand side of the screen. Type in a 1 if you can see that okay. This is a 5-minute chart, Susan. Yeah, this is a 5-minute. Most day traders like to use somewhere between 1 and 5 minute charts. So 1 and 5 minute, I use a lot of 2s, a lot of 3s, and a lot of 5s. Daniel says, should a stop loss exit always be a market order and to prevent missing the stop? That's a phenomenal question, Daniel. I would answer the question with yes, or at least it's always a market stop when I use it. That doesn't mean that there's not another way to do it, but I personally try to always have a market stop on a trade that I'm looking at getting out of. Great question. Really good question. All right. So again, what we're watching right now is we're watching Texas Instruments for potentially a low of the day break and then a retest. I'm keeping an eye on this one. That would be a bearish trade. And then when, so ladies and gentlemen, this was the retest on when. I'm going to go ahead and cancel the order. So this was it. This was the pullback. Boom, 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 boom. Nice little pullback right there. I was hoping that this pullback would actually fill me. So again, buy low, sell high. The one small thing I did, I messed up on when, is I did not take the breakout of this high wave candle. I should have taken the breakout rather than the limit buy. So here's the 3-minute chart, and this is where I should have gotten in. So really nice bearish high wave 3-minute chart. I think Robert Falco is in, but look at all this bearish volume. My friends, how do you feel? How do you think these traders feel who are shorting right here? How do you think they feel? Because again, all those bearish volume, all those sellers, they are trapped, right? They're trapped, they're scared, they're worried, panicked. Bottom line, they are losing money. How do short traders exit their position? How do short traders exit their position? They have to buy to cover. Exactly. And when they start to buy to cover, ladies and gentlemen, that is the volume that you can see coming in right here, right? See all that green volume? That was traders not only buying to cover who shorted at the low, but it was also specifically people who are buying at a low level because they feel like win was a discount and they want to get in as low as possible. Siggy says, could you review the high wave candle? I absolutely can. Totally. The high wave candle, Siggy, is this candle right here. Take a screenshot of it. Print it out if you need to. It's also all over Google. But it's a candle that has a body, right? A candle body with a big upper and big lower shadow and pretty high volume, usually. So when you get a high wave candle, it's very, very simplistically, tons of indecision. I don't know how to spell decision. Decision? Nope. Indecision? It's close. So high wave equals indecision. Dave says, I bought the 120 call option, Jeremy. All right, Dave. I didn't get filled on it, but if you did, cool deal. I'm about to cancel my win order, but trade your plan from here, my friend. Trade your plan. So yeah, Siggy, that's pretty much it, man. High wave candle equals indecision. So what I look for a lot of times in the market is when indecision becomes decisive. Right? That's what I like to look for. When indecision becomes decisive. Because once indecision becomes decisive, that's usually how a stock will move. Noel says it could have gone either way. Noel, you were absolutely 100% correct. It could have gone down. But again, the reason I was looking at a long trade is because win was already down 9%. So in a blue chip dividend paying stock that's down 9% on the day, what direction offers more risk reward? And I would say bullish. No, you're absolutely correct. It could have definitely broken lower. And if it did break lower, then we probably wouldn't have gotten triggered into the trade. So, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cancel win, and I'm also going to go over to Slack and let everyone know who's in Slack. Canceling our win day trade. Hey, Tom just snagged 1R on Tesla. And check this out, ladies and gentlemen. So Tom played my favorite candle. There's your high wave candle right there on Tesla on the 3-minute chart. So there's his high wave candle, and he played the indecision, and then the indecision became decision. All right, that was his setup, pure and simple. Had a nice gap down on Tesla. Here's your 3-minute high wave candle right here. Type in a 7 if you guys would agree that that is a high wave candle. And I'll give you a hint. You should type in a 7 because that is a high wave candle. That is it. It's perfect, actually. Wonderful, stupendous, deliriously delightful. That is a high wave candle. So again, it wasn't a huge win, but he was able to play it bullish and capture a little bit of a gain. So that's a fantastic thing. All right, so Lakeland Industries is trying to pull back to 1542. The low of this move is actually 1544. 1544. So that is, again, a 2-penny difference from 1542. It should fill any second now. And I will also go ahead and let everyone know my goal is to plan in the future for what I try to do on a particular trade. So this is an example of me planning in the future. If we do get filled on this trade and it does not work, right? So let's say this happens and it comes all the way down here and I lose 2 Rs for the day, I will be done for the day. Now, I hope it doesn't happen, but it could. I want each and every one of you to know I do my absolute best to be as open and honest, vulnerable, and real life as I can when it comes to trading. You will have losing days. There will absolutely be times where you will not win. So you need to protect your losses. Don't worry about making all of your money in one day. Many traders will go through that in their trading career of feeling like you need to make all of your money in just one day. Right? So be patient. The most patient traders often win the most. So we did get filled on Lakeland Industries waiting for the pullback. And now we get to see, will it bounce off of this support? Simple as that. Will it bounce? We'll find out. But again, if I lose on Lakeland Industries, it will be my last trade of the day. Filled on Lake. So let me go ahead and what I'm going to do right now, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to go in and put the 2 trades that I have into our trade tracking worksheet. All right, that was win. So I played win, and I also played, what was that other stupid 3M trade? There we go. All right, 3M, which just did not work. All right, so pop this over here, and let me just go ahead and fill out the orders. So today is the 27th of January. Wow, 2020. 1/27/2020. So this is 3M, and that's win. So 3M 178.87. 178.87 with a stop loss at 177.52. And that was supposed to be a gap and go, and it just did not go. That was a losing trade, 177.52. All right, and so now we are in LAKE. And again, ladies and gentlemen, just because I'm in the trade doesn't mean that it's going to work. But what's really, really brilliant about the R strategy and system is I do not have to win very much on this trade in order for it to work. I'm actually very, very happy with the 2 trades that we've placed so far today. Both of them are bullish on a day where the whole market was pretty bearish. Travis says, do you ever trade futures? Yes, sir, I do. Daniel says, do you offer the trade tracking journal on the worksheet? No, we do not. The trade tracking journal, Daniel, and also, who else asked for that question? Tom. So Daniel and Tom, we give this worksheet to anyone who is a subscriber of Real Life Trading. So that's the good news. You can get it. It is available to people who end up subscribing to RLT. Sybil says, what moving averages do you use? The moving averages that I use are the 10, 20, 50 EMA, and the 100, 200 SMA. Those are most frequently the moving averages, Sybil Kramer, that I use the most. Aldo says, what futures do you mostly trade? The E-minis. Chris Paris says, how much is a subscription? That's a great question. Matt, do you have the link to that website? I think I could start talking about that. Aldo says, I like the NQ. The NQ is fun. NQ is indeed fun. Annie says, do you teach a futures class, Jeremy? I do not personally have a futures class that I teach full time, but we do have a course on our website. I don't know if you guys have ever been to our website or not, but if you haven't, you should check it out. Here's reallifetrading.com. And if you click on free, Annie, come down here to futures trading. We have the only free futures trading program on the entire internet. So if you want to check it out, go for it. Annie says, do you have any videos? There you go. So there it is. Matt, do you have the checkout page, by the way, for anyone for the subscriber pricing for today? Jim wants to know, what is my target for Lakeland Industries? So here's my target for Lakeland Industries, ladies and gentlemen. My goal is, remember, I lost on 3M. I lost on 3M. Remember, I'm not going to ever cover up the fact that I win or lose on a trade. I'll make it very apparent always. So my goal on Lakeland is to make more than I lost on 3M. That is my goal. So there's a lot of pre-market resistance up here. I don't know if we're going to make it, but here's what my goal is at this point, is to create a target that is more than one risk unit. So again, one risk unit on this trade was there, and I'm going to strive to go there. 1625, I would make a quarter R on the day if we hit that. Now, here's a question that I have for each and every one of you here. So far, is it pretty clear what trades we're getting into and getting out of and why? Do you guys feel like it's clear? Do you are you able to see what we're doing ahead of time? All right, 1625 is going to be the current target to exit on Lake. Okay, there we go. Let me pop into here and target on LAKE day trade. So again, everyone who subscribes to Real Life Trading just got a text message alert service on our target and our setup on Lakeland Industries. And again, if the trade works, that would be brilliant. It's really all you need. So that's what I got. Whiskey says, if you are considering subscribing here, please do it. You'll be doing yourself a huge favor. Jeremy's babbling out what's going on in his brain will help train your brain as a trader faster than anything I've ever encountered. Thank you, Pat, AKA Whiskey. I appreciate that. Again, if you guys do want to subscribe, cool. You should. It's really good. I think the program, we spend a lot of time working on it, and this is the link to a subscription. If you want the bundle, which is pretty much everything we have to offer, it's really quite priced at a spot where you can pay for all of it with one good trade, especially if you have a little bit of a larger account. Full disclosure, if you're trading $2,000 or less, it's just hard to make a lot of money in that environment, regardless of what trading room or strategy or subscription service you're using. It's just really hard to make a lot of money with $2,000, okay? But if you do have anywhere north of 20,000, this is a no-brainer price. Because again, 20,000, you'd have an R of 200, or at least at some point you could have an R of 200, and that is one 2R trade a month. One. And again, if you want to do it for the whole year, you save about 2 or 3 months worth of a subscription. So that's all I'll say on that for right now. I'm really excited for Lake to start moving higher. I think that'd be great. All right, let's go through the list and see if I can find anything else that I want to trade. Texas Instruments is not doing much. Slavia wants to look at ADM, Archer Daniels Midland Corporation. What a beautiful bounce. Very good fade. Again, most of the gap downs today are getting bought up. Most of the gap downs are getting bought up. So look at Win. Beyond Meat is up 4%. It's at 124.25. Oh no, it threw in a lower shadow. That's pretty. INO just isn't doing much at all right now. Tesla hanging out. Square, beautiful fade on Square. Very nice. SPY again is working on the bounce, the fade. Pablo says, I subscribed in the last free week trading, and I still cannot believe how much I've learned and how much money I've made. All the people that trade in here are just amazing. I appreciate that, Pablo. And ladies and gentlemen, again, one of my missions is to enrich lives. I will always strive as hard as I can to ensure that you at least get an education into what it is that you're looking at, why you're looking at it, why it's good, why it's bad, what works, what won't work, what should work. I really want to help each and every one of you in your journey to be a proficient trader where you can access this knowledge anywhere in the world. Being able to trade anywhere in the world. Being able to log in and know exactly what you want to do and why you want to do it. Chris says, do you live in Nashville? I do. I do indeed. Also, speaking of futures, the E-minis are about to have a really, really nice little pop and retest at some point. So keep this in mind. This is a phenomenal trap right here on the E-minis. Absolutely brilliant. That's all the people who are so excited about shorting the market and they're getting hosed. All right. That's what getting hosed looks like. So if you're playing the E-minis or just the broader market, expect a little bit of a pop, retest, and a continuation like that. This is what I refer to as the S curve. And this is, again, if you're playing a futures trade, both the NQ and the E-minis are going to look very similar to this. So let that pop happen and then kind of look to buy or retest. David says, what should my target be, or do I exit before Friday? David, you absolutely are going to want to exit before Friday. You're 100% correct. Your target on win should be about 129 or 130. Hope I answered your question. Someone's asking about Shopify. Ellen says, what do you think of Shopify? I love the company. I love the product. I love the trend, and buy the dip. Shopify, very bullish. It's also a little on the extended side. It's a little high. So you don't necessarily want to buy right here. If anything, you would really want to buy around 390 and some change. That would be kind of more preferable. But long-term, bullish, absolutely. Ron Raymond says, you can use SPXX for those without futures on SPY and for those who have a small account. Yeah, you can also use, there's all kinds of services that give you money to trade futures with. Tons and tons and tons. If you guys want to trade futures, be happy to give you some insight on that, but all kinds of things to do out there. Intel, ticker symbol INTC. I would not short Intel, no. Intel, very strong trends. I would be looking for potential bounce opportunities on Intel. At least today. I'm not saying it can't go lower. I would just be a little patient shorting it. It just looks way too simple. Way too simple. Chris says, what about BABA? So BABA, long-term, extremely viable at this level. I sent out a text to a few coaching students this morning mentioning to look to sell some puts on BABA at open. Love BABA long-term. I'm a big fan of this company. And here's what I think BABA's going to do personally, Chris, is I think it's going to trade up a little bit into here, have one more big pullback, and then have an absolute surge monster of a move. So that's kind of my thoughts. I think BABA is very viable long-term, but I think you can also buy it lower than it is right now. Speaking of buying it lower than it is now, for those of you who are big option traders, I do think you have the ability to sell some puts down in the 175 or lower price range. And if you put some shares down there, I think you'd probably be pretty happy with that endeavor. Sergey says, LVS, old support, new resistance. Yes, it's exactly the same as WIN. Those two are moving side by side. Chris Paris says, I'm in Knoxville. Do you have live events in Nashville? All the time. All the time. The next really big live event will be Labor Day week, 9/5, I believe, through 9/9. So that's going to be the next really big live event in Nashville, Chris. Pretty pumped about that. It's going to be sick. Yeah, great question. A lot of good questions. Is there anyone here that lives in Hawaii? DL says, when does the swing trade try start out? Swing trading room, DL, starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. Don says, are you currently in any trade at the moment? Yes, sir. We are in Lake, bullish as a day trade. We are in LAKE, bullish as a day trade right now. As of the present moment, that's the only one. So I'm waiting to see if some other things are going to shape up. Again, we canceled WIN. Beyond Meat is running nicely. INO, I might short it maybe. Tesla is just kind of hanging out. And again, most of these stocks are just working on doing their thing remotely a little bit bullish. Kenneth says that he lives in Nashville. Nice. Very cool, man. By the way, folks, if you can do me a favor and put your chat pane to all panelists and attendees, there's like this little drop down that you can do in your Zoom function. That way people don't think that I'm talking to my imaginary friends. Annie Ellis says, is your friend Johnny still here? Yep, he is. He still lives in Hawaii. He is still very much there. Mason says, what's the ideal amount of money for someone to start with? The ideal amount of money? At least $3,000. The more money, the better, Mason, in my opinion. All right, the more money you have, the easier it is. But at least $3,000. All right. Albert. Well, it's very kind of you, Albert. Albert says, one of the best decisions I've made in terms of day trading is joining Real Life Trading chat room back in 2019. I strongly recommend joining the chat if you're serious about day trading and swing trading. I used to overtrade a lot and trade on luck. Now I have a much better and clear idea of what I'm doing with a high probability, and I like to control my risk. It's definitely more sustainable now. Again, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. It's always a pleasure and a treat to have you, Albert, and I've loved seeing your trading become better over time, man. That is truly, truly magnificent. Really great stuff. Nathan says, could we see the S&P 500 again? I missed it. All right, cool. What do you want to look at on the S&P 500? This is the E-minis. It's the same thing. So again, this is a very nice gap down. Let's not belabor the fact that I do think this is a beautiful gap. And I would love, love, love the market to actually have a pullback. And I do think it's very possible. And I think it's going to occur. I think we're going to get something like this to some extent, but I do think we're going to go a little bit lower. Yes, over the next few days and or weeks. It was needed. It was natural. It more or less had to happen. So the fact that it's occurring is wonderful. Anthony says, target hit on Beyond Meat, 2 hours, and I'm done trading for the day. Nicely done, Tony. Great job, bud. Daniel says, is your target always 2 hours per day? No, sometimes I can do much more than that. But that was a phenomenal job. A good trade. Also, well done, Felicia. I know Felicia texted me before market open to keep an eye on Beyond Meat. Where is Felicia's text message? Felicia, where'd she go? There it is. Great trade, Felicia. Sexy gap up on Beyond Meat. Incredible. Again, that's a really, really good, very nice S-curve, right? Gap down, trade up, and then really good pop. So again, buying that dip was stupendous. So if you played the pullback or some degree. Now again, ladies and gentlemen, I did not trade Beyond Meat. You guys know that I did not trade Beyond Meat. But type in a 3 if it was at least helpful to know that I was bullish on Beyond Meat. Right? Even though I didn't trade it, I think it's helpful for me to kind of give you all a direction and a thought process and a reason to why I'm not able to trade everything, ever. Can't do it. Couldn't happen. I don't have enough money to trade everything. No one actually has enough money to be in every single stock out there all the time, unless it's like one share or something. But you got to keep in mind that it's all about understanding the why. That's the key. I can provide a lot of analysis very frequently, folks, that works extremely well. Even if I don't personally get into that trade, my goal is to let each and every one of you know why something is happening. So that way you can use it for your future trades. That is one of my objectives. Just like I&O. Remember, I&O, this morning I mentioned, hey, let's watch for this thing to go lower. It's a really big gap, and it's gapping into the 200 simple on the weekly chart. That doesn't mean that you had to make money bearish on it. It doesn't mean that I made money on it bearish, because I haven't yet. But it does mean that you could have avoided going bullish right here. Very rarely in trading is it the trades that you take that make you money. Sometimes it's the trades that you don't take that make you money. Kyle says, is your exit set at a target R? Or do you allow the momentum to follow through and exit on another signal? Great question, Kyle. Let me repost your question to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see it. And to answer your question, I normally exit at a set target R. You are correct. Denny says, first time here. Long time listener, first time caller. Thanks for letting us try the free week. Missed the beginning, but hope to be on the swing trading class later today. Yes, sir. There will be absolutely the opportunity to do that. And I will be sending out the recordings of today as well. All right. So I&O, let me scoot that up. Whiskey says, I'm curious to know what you're doing on Tesla over earnings. My only position on Tesla right now are put sales. So I have long-term put sales on Tesla over earnings. I know earnings, I know it's going to gap on Tesla. I'm fully aware that it's going to gap, but at the present moment in time, I only have option sales on earnings. So put sales is an advanced, very aggressive, bullish day trade. Or sorry, not day trade, swing trade. I personally think Tesla's either going to gap up and then fade, or gap down and then fade. Either way, it's going to be a fade the gap type of day, though. So if it gaps down, it's been an extremely strong trend. I think people are going to buy it, and it's going to fade higher. And if it gaps up, it's almost certainly going to run a little bit that day and then fade lower. So at the present moment, Whiskey, I don't have any trades on Tesla directly earnings related. So I'm not doing a straddle or a strangle. I'm just going to wait. And Jack, I think that analysis, Tony, I think that analysis is the exact same for Apple. Apple's been an extremely strong bullish trend. I don't personally plan on taking any trade over earnings. Like I'm not going to do a straddle or strangle. I might do a put sale. I might sell some puts down here on Tesla for March or April around 250 because I would not mind owning shares of Apple at 250. So that's something you could consider. There's just not a lot of premium down there right now. But again, this is going to be a very fun week of trading because I do think that there's going to be some opportunities to make some slight bear money. But that's what I'm thinking is a 250 March put sale, Tony, on Apple. Because I really would not mind owning shares of Apple at 250. Axel says, how about an iron condor? I can't do an iron condor on either Apple or Tesla because the trend is emphatically, ridiculously, and unquestionably bullish. And I have a very strict rule in my trading plan that says I cannot trade a credit spread against an obvious trend. So I hope that answers your question. Here's Activision, ATVI. Activision, small gap down. Jason, I'm going to wait on Activision. Jason says 58.25 by 57.75. That's not a bad trade. So Jason's looking at going bullish on Activision. He's looking at potentially getting in with an entry here and a stop loss right there. I think it's an okay trade, man. I think it's, if you do take it, I think best case scenario, you're going to win small. That's my thoughts. Axel says, what about a debit spread on which stock, Mr. Stryker? Which one are you referring to? All right, so back over to Lake, L-A-K-E. So Lake, what I am going to do at this particular point in time, folks, is increase our stop a little bit. We've been in the trade for a while, and it's trying to work. Again, if it can get up to 1625, we will have a profitable day. That's really kind of my goal. Very, very frequently, I will take 2 trades in a day. I will win on one, and I will lose on one. It's extremely frequent. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to increase the stop from 1472 to 1480. Stop increase on our LAKE day trade. Type in a 1 if that's very clear that we're moving our stop. I want you all to be kind of comfortable to know why we're doing it, where we're doing it, what we're doing it. It's visually apparent. And again, for anyone who subscribes to the trading room, they will get access to this worksheet as well. Stop update, so they can track our trade there in the worksheet. Let me go ahead and actually put it in the broker. 1480, okay, stop, increase, got it. All right, so another one that I am keeping an eye on is I&O. I do really kind of like this breakdown. I do like the breakdown. It's kind of like a big double top. Where would I like to short this thing? 32 by 72 wouldn't be bad. Okay. I&O, 532 limit sell with a stop loss at 572. So this is going to be the newest official day trade for me. New official day trade. So what that means is we're going to be in 1 trade bullish and 1 trade bearish. So you wouldn't expect both of them to lose, even though it's certainly possible. This is a 40-cent risk on I&O, 532. Stop loss is 572. And I don't know the target yet, but probably around $5. So again, limit sell means you're going into your broker and you're typing in 532 to sell at a higher price, which again, may or may not fill. I'm not entirely sure. And if it does fill, it might not work. It could go higher. But 532 with a stop loss at 572. And what I'm going to type in right here is fade, because this is a gap up that I'm trying to short to go lower. Daniel says, it still blows my mind that you can sell something you don't own to make money in a bearish trade. Isn't that cool? David Cambridge says, Jeremy, do you use TradingView exclusively each day? I am slowly working on migrating to other platforms more frequently. David, the answer right now is yes. But I am working on slowly integrating more and more of my trading with a few other charting softwares that I use. TrendSpider and wealthcharts.com. All right, so I&O, this is an official trade. So I have typed into the chat pane, I've put it into Slack, and I've put it into the worksheet. So I'm looking to get in at $5.32. Again, I'm really not entirely sure if this trade will trigger, or if it triggers, if this trade will work. I don't know any of that information, but I'm kind of hoping so. Here's the extended hours. And man, that would have been really, really great to short right there. That's what I should have done. I should have shorted right there, that pre-market resistance, 590 by 640. That would have been a good trade. All right, so I&O is open, and Lake, come on, Lake, let's get it. Let's go. Let's do this. All right. Pablo says, I&O is not available for shorting on Interactive Brokers. You know, that's very, very rare. I would say that's extremely rare. It is shortable on Thinkorswim. I could probably count on two hands how many times I've seen a security shortable on Thinkorswim that was not shortable on Interactive Brokers. Relatively on the rare side, but sorry, man. Okay. Cool deal. Beautiful.